guys, welcome back to our podcast, The Terrible 2 Podcast. This is episode 5, and we are so excited that you guys are still joining us. You're still watching. You're still interested. Love that for us. Love that for you. Wow, that was rough. It took you a minute, but you got it. But thank you guys so much for tuning back in. And I am super excited about today's episode. This topic is just, it's been something that I've been sitting on. So I'm really excited and nervous to kind of hear your points. But let's just see how it goes. So the topic today,
I knew you forgot.
You knew it?
I was going to interrupt you before you really got deep.
Before we start, for the newcomers and the new people joining us, my name is Lonnie.
I'm Teddy.
And this is the Terrible 2 Podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Come join our family. Yay! All right. Sorry. But let's get into it. The topic today is, this is a heavy one. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a heavy one. It's, do you think marriage should have a time limit, time frame, and do you think having one is harmful? I'll let you start, baby.
Okay. What was the first question?
Do you think marriage should have a time limit or a time frame?
Marriage should have a time limit. Getting married should have a time limit.
Yes, like proposal, getting married, fiance, everything. Yeah.
Oh wow.
The whole
shabam.
Wow.
Wow. So many. Short answer, no. Long answer, definitely. Okay. So
definitely was a longer word, so I agree.
So if we think about the aspect of getting proposed to, okay, I always have to preface this with my personal opinion. Okay, it may not be right and it may not be yours. So I think there should be a length of time you're willing if you want to get married. That this is only if you want to get married, if you want to be proposed to. If you don't and you want to just date forever or just like the marriage thing doesn't interest you, then yeah, fine. This conversation may not even, But if you want to get married, I think there should be an end point to a relationship for you.
What do you mean by that end point?
When you are ready to progress from dating to fiance, which is definitely just to marriage, right? So I think a good number is 11 years. Yeah, no. And hear me out. We're talking post high school. Okay, so day one of college, I guess.
So you're saying starting from college, 11 years?
Yes. Okay, so if you've been inside when you're 18, by the time you're 29, time to go. And here, let me tell you my reasons why.
I'm hearing you
out. I don't think a lot of people know who they really are with quickly. Because even though life is crazy and varied, there isn't a lot of things that happen early on in your life, okay? If we think about it, people generally have kids between the ages of like 20 and 40. So when you're 20, that means your parents are only 40 to 60, and parents are usually on the same age as their siblings. So like nobody is like 100 ready to die kind of thing. So you don't get to experience an aspect of loss. And if you're, I guess, between 18 and 25, you get all financial struggles, so you get to see them there.
That's true.
But I think college is roughly 4 to 6 years, if you do it, I guess 2 to 6 years. You can do college classes in high school. College is
2 to 8 years. Depending if you want to go for that doctorate, the PhD.
Okay, let's keep it at undergrad. Okay, so 2 to 5 years. Okay, college is usually 2 to 5 years, and that gives you 18 to 23-ish with the person, and you get to experience a couple things with them, and I think during that time you can start getting ready in certain ways. Like you mature,
Mm-hmm.
you grow, you have experiences, you try new foods, new places, new whatever. The chance of sadly loss. You got the financial struggle down.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a finding out what you want to do in your future,
Mm-hmm.
and etc. etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think experiencing ebbs and flows, ups and downs, mountains and valleys with a person
Mm-hmm.
really shows you who that person is. And as we've spoken about, people grow, people change, people shift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so a couple years can really give you a good understanding of a person. Okay, and yes, we're gonna get back to 11. We're gonna get back to 11. I think 11 is the end, like the dead end of relationship. Because I think personally for me, about 2 years is when you start to really understand, hey, this is somebody I want to marry. Like it's cute to say it when you're 6 months in, oh, I'm gonna be with this person forever, and like I wish you the best, and I hope that's the outcome. But I think 2 years is when you have a couple experiences. You've seen this person for a long time. You know what's happening. You can sometimes predict their actions, read their actions, be in a good space, kind of thing. And I think 2 years is a good place to start understanding this is the person I want to marry. And so then you talk to them, you communicate with them, and you're like, hey, like I'm ready. Well, maybe not ready for marriage, but hey, I see a future with you. I'm ready to build. I want us to become something great. I want us to have something special. And then you start putting the effort in from that point forward, in my opinion. So that's when you spend the next year to 4 years assessing or getting them to that point with you.
Okay, that hits about 6.
Okay, it's 6. Yeah, no, I got the math. So, okay, I'm ready. I feel like we will progress into marriage. Okay, so let's work towards it. And you spend the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3, building, getting ready, preparations. During that time, there's a pretty good chance they will pop the question.
Yeah.
Okay. And knowing that, communicating that you are ready for it, and them knowing that you're expecting it, like there's some unspoken thing that's like, okay, it's coming. And at year 6, if it doesn't come, that's when you're like, is it coming? You communicate with your person, you're like, what's happening? What's going on? So I think at year 6 is a good year to start wondering, start questioning, start not badgering, but trying to understand where your partner is in that space, to where you figure out whether or not you're gonna get married. Because 6 years is an extremely long time. Like, I know 11 is extremely long, but 6 is long as well. And that's why I'm like, if you're at 6 years and you've communicated that you're trying to get married, like I'm locking this down, and 6 years hit, and you guys are financially ready, you guys are emotionally ready, you've seen them through struggles, ups and downs, definitely see them through ups, but be there for the downs as well, because life is not sunshine and rainbows. So you have to be there through whatever comes their way, because when you get married, they say through thick and thin, through sickness and health, you want to be there for that. So 6 years is a good time to really start not pressuring, but letting them know for sure that, hey, I'm here to stay, and I've said I'm here to stay, and you said you're here to stay. Why is this not happening? And I think from 6 to 11 is a good time to start making changes, start packing bags, start having discussions about moving forth. Because I think 6 years of dating is an extremely long time, and a lot of stuff can happen in that time. You can have a child, you can buy a house, you can buy a car together, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of hope all that hasn't happened before the ring or marriage. Kind of, but life is, unpredictable and stuff like that can happen. So, yes, it feels like wasted time. It feels like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But at 6 to 11, it's time to start wondering what your next steps are, in my opinion.
Okay. I just need to ask because I'm sure everyone else is wondering too. Like, because you're like, through that 6 is when you start planning. 2 to 4, after that 2, you got 2 to 4 to start like, okay, yeah, we're enjoying this, we're progressing, we're doing this. 6 is like that good to start questioning, not pushing, but questioning. So my thing is, why the 5 years after that though? Like, why isn't that, because like, it seems like 6 for you is that good cutoff. It's that good, like, you should understand you want to get married. You already understand that too. So this should be where you've been good in life. So I understand if like things aren't financially right or things just aren't working out in your favor. Like, I get problems occur. So if no problems have occurred, you guys are both financially ready, you're emotionally ready, you're mentally ready, you guys have a house together, let's say you have a kid together, stuff like that, things like this. Why the 5 years? Why not like say, okay, 6 years is good, so I'll give you a year, or I'll give you 2 years. Why 5?
Because every time you say what the 5, I'm like, oh, what are you about to say?
What?
This is kid friendly. Is it?
It's actually not.
Yeah, I was like, I think 6 years is the beginning of the end, and 11 is the end of the end. Okay, so at 6 you start to push, or I guess maybe even retract to the exit. I think if you don't start retracting at 11, I think 11 is when you close the door behind you.
Yeah, my thing is, why does it take 5 years for you to realize that you should be closing the door behind you?
It shouldn't.
So you're just saying like 5
years should be.
So you're like,
period. Like
I'll give you that 5, but it shouldn't be that 5.
It shouldn't be that 5. I think if you really want to be married, and we will never get younger. Like this. Yeah, I know. This is the oldest we've ever been, and the youngest we'll ever be. Like this point, literally.
Well, no, not the youngest we'll ever be.
Yeah.
The youngest we'll ever be is 1.
From this point forward.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is the youngest we've ever been, and the youngest we'll ever be continuing. Okay. Past this point, you won't get any younger.
You won't get any younger. Okay.
So,
my brain was hurting.
If you missed it, somebody else missed it. It's fine. And like, I'm not one of the biological clock is ticking people, but men can have children until they're 105, I guess, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Actually, they still have struggle. They still struggle. Like
they still struggle. Well,
we both start struggling at 35. So
I mean, if you're 85 waiting for that marriage, you're trying to get in that will. But no, I think 6 should be the beginning of the end. 6.5 could be the end of the end for you. 7 could be the end of the end for you. 8 could. But I think at 6, you should start really evaluating what is happening in your life, what your options are, what the other person really is doing, besides wasting your time.
I feel like that, and let me just clarify, is that like strictly for the people who aren't having problems getting married, right? Because, I mean, if you're not financially ready or you're just having problems that's coming up, you can't have the beginning of the end if you don't see an end in sight, you know?
Okay. Yes, so that is for everybody whose boxes are checked. And that's the thing. Different people get married at different times. No,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you have to wait till every single box is checked
yeah,
to get married.
Because, I mean, even if you're not financially ready, courthouse wedding.
Exactly, courthouse
Mop it
wedding.
out.
Yeah, you don't have to do the $50,000
But that's
wedding.
if you want just, that's if you just believe that marriage is strictly paper and loving and marrying the person you love. Like,
Yeah.
if you, like, want a big
If you
wedding,
want the ceremony,
then wait till you're financially ready
Wait
to
for
not
the
put yourself in
ceremony, like-
debt. Yeah, but
You
if
know,
you're just fine, like, courthouse it
I
out,
mean,
you know?
I was gonna say, what about credit? You can put yourself in debt, but that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different topic. So yeah, no, I think having a couple, I don't even know what all the boxes are.
Yeah.
Maybe half of the imaginary boxes.
You're just
checked.
like mentally, emotionally, and financially ready.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the big it's. And I mean, of course, if you're like living separately and yeah,
you will be living
like,
separately after the marriage.
Maybe.
I'm just like, what?
I mean,
what?
if you're comfortable with that, then by
yeah,
all means.
Go ahead.
But if you're not, then I'd be like, no, maybe don't put yourself in that situation. If you're only financially ready for the wedding, don't put yourself in that situation. Because then it's like, what else do you do? Now you're married, but you don't have your own space to be married, a married couple.
Can't
You don't
even
have
get
enough money.
roommates.
You don't have enough money for the honeymoon. You don't have enough money for anything else. But if you're financially ready for all of it, then yeah, I think 6 is that good.
Yeah. I think 6 is good where over half the boxes are checked.
Mm-hmm.
You've had the conversation many times.
Definitely conversations about it.
And they're dragging their feet or nothing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
How long should an engagement be?
Huh?
Huh?
Well, let me just.
Oh, you got.
Just
you,
go
sorry.
back.
Go ahead. Go
Let
back.
me just go back to that 11.
Okay, give me.
Clearly you can see that I'm completely against 11. This is just me. This is just only. It's just our opinions. Again, who asked for it? But it's only our opinions. But me personally, it wouldn't be me. And I say that harshly, but also loosely, because I'm like, I don't want to be that dumb girl that be like, it wouldn't be me, and then you see me and you're like, oh, she's still not married. So, but I do have a cutoff, and that cutoff comes from like being financially ready, and I know that we're both emotionally and mentally ready to get married, but other problems occur, so it's like things can't happen. That's fine. Like, I know if I'm not financially ready at like 8 years, I'm still not gonna put myself in a situation to like be in debt. Then what? Like, yeah, we did it. I was struggling,
See you next week.
So maybe it might be me, but honestly, I feel like even if we're at a space where we like, okay, maybe we're not financially ready for this, at like 8 years, I'll be like, babe, let's courthouse it out. Come on, like, let's just do what we gotta do, right? But I still want to sit on that, like, 5 to 8 years should be a cut off.
Okay.
And I'm still like, even in the sense of like, maybe your boxes aren't fully ticked, but if you're able to at least accomplish it without putting yourself in a terrible situation, like mentally, emotionally, financially, all 3 of them. Like, even if you're both emotionally and financially ready, if one of you are not mentally ready, it's going to be rocky. So it's like, yes, I love you, but I'm not mentally ready to get married. Yes, we are financially ready. We're emotionally ready, but again, I'm not mentally ready to get married to you, babe. So it's like, then that puts us in a terrible situation. And so I think that 5 to 8 years allows you to be in all 3, if not 2 enough that could be good enough, right?
Okay.
And I feel like, ouch. But I feel like, what was I gonna say, babe?
I don't know.
Wow. I blanked.
We finished each other's
sandwiches. No, but I was gonna say, with your comment about the 2 years, I think that's really good. But me personally, I think by a year, like, I know so many like people in marriage. I say so many. It's about like 3, but I know people who have gotten married after a year, and I talked to the guy. And he's like, I knew. Like, I pretty much knew, like, first few months, I knew. So it's like, you honestly don't even need a full year to know that you want to marry them. But I think that 2 years, 1 to 2 years, is that good amount of time to know your person, understand your person, and understand how your marriage is going to look like.
Mhm.
Because I think a big misconception, and I'm going to generalize this because that's what we do. But I think a big misconception about marriage is that things change after marriage. And it's like, oh, well, when we get married, he's going to be this guy or she's going to be this woman for me. And they're going to bring this to the table. All this, blah, 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 blah. That's a big misconception.
Yeah.
It's like,
that piece of paper is gonna
it's strictly just going to
transform Prince Charming.
Woman, like
Fiona. So.
Like, no. The thing is, like, and I think that's why a lot of, like, people struggle in the first year. Because, a lot of married people that I've spoken to say that the hardest year in marriage is the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a thing because you're like, okay, well, now I'm his wife, things has to change. Or now I'm her husband, things have to change. And things don't change. And then we get upset and we're like, you're not supposed to be doing that anymore. And it's like, well, they were doing that before. Why do you think it would change from a piece of paper? So and I think that's right. I think that's a big common misconception about marriage is that things change after. Things don't change. So I feel as though, things always change if we're being honest. So you're always going to change.
And
but
change is good.
Change is good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But in the thing of like thinking somebody's going to drastically make a 180 as soon as you get married, it's a problem. So I feel as though that 1 to 2 years, you know that person. You know what they're going to do. You know what kind of marriage you're going to go into. Of course, change happens over time. So that's why I'm like 5 to 8 years, because change happens over time. You start developing. You start understanding yourself more. You start understanding your person more, and so on and so on and so on. But now 1 to 2 years tells you if you want to be in that marriage, what that marriage is going to be like, and if you will be happy, successful, and if it will be a long relationship or long marriage. I feel like that 1 to 2 years is good, right? Limit in time frame wise, like, because my thing is, if you know by 1 year and you all boxes are checked, what are you doing?
By year 5 at that point, you're like,
okay.
Oh.
And that's why I think it's hard to put time frames. Because the thing is, if you're talking, right, like we say communication is key. If you're communicating with your partner and they're like, well, I'm ready at year 1, and they're like, I know you're the one, I know I want to marry you, I know I want to be with you. You guys are financially ready. Again, you're emotionally ready, you're mentally ready. Family loves both of you or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't have to be a box. Listen, if all the family don't like you, girl, it's okay. But if that's something you want your family, like, all boxes are checked, why am I still waiting another 4 years for you to pop the question?
I agree.
So, now if it's a thing of, okay, we're still getting to know each other, we're still having fun 4 years into it, then that 4-year mark, we're both emotionally ready, we're mentally ready, we're financially ready. Why am I waiting another 4 years?
And that's one of the tough situations, is waiting for both people to be ready.
Because
some people will arrive at that point in a year where it takes somebody else 3-4 years. So then you really have to ask yourself, how long are you also willing to wait for your partner to get ready?
That's true. That's true.
Like everyone's different. That's a big thing I always push, is that no, it's rare to find 2 people be the same person.
Yeah.
So then, just because you're ready doesn't mean your partner's ready, and that comes back to the communication where it's like, hey, I'm ready for you to pop the question, or I'm ready to pop the question, and they're like, I'm not. And that's segueing into the problems in a relationship where one person is like, let's go.
Yeah.
And the other person's like, I'm on my way.
Exactly.
So
hit that. I need you to get into that. Because that's a big thing. That problem yes. Of like pushing, like I like that you were like badgering and like pushing, because that can occur from both sides, and that does create problems. Hit it.
Yeah. So I think problems can occur from both sides where one person. So speaking from the ready person perspective, I'm like, come on, like,
Yeah.
are you there yet?
Mm-hmm.
Are we there yet? Which is based on my timeline, what could happen at the 6-year mark is
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready,
Mm-hmm.
or well, you said you were ready, but before that, let's say at the 2 to 4 to the I guess 4 to 6 years, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
Mm-hmm.
let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're ready, and you're sadly trying to force them into being ready.
Yeah.
And multiple things can come from that, but the two biggest one is they leave
Yeah.
because they're like, never mind,
I know.
I'm not ready on your timeline.
And you're pushing
I'm not
me.
there, and you're
It's too much.
I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, catch me on the streets. I'm outside.
Mm-hmm.
Or they agree with you and they're like, okay, let's get married before their time has come.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, branching off here again, you have an extremely long engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, hey, you got the ring. I proposed.
Mm-hmm.
Shut it up. You
I
know,
know.
like
You said you wanted a proposal.
I gave you the
it
proposal.
to you. Mm-hmm.
That's what you got. And then you're engaged for 4 years. That's a whole different timeline engagement.
Crazy. Yeah, you
Or
did ask that. We will get into that.
you get married.
Mm-hmm.
You do your 6 months to a year and a half, 2 years engagement,
Mm-hmm.
and you're married, and they're miserable. They're like, I hate it.
I
here,
hate it here.
but I will stick it out because you asked to be married, and I gave it to you.
And then they resent you.
And then you
Golly. Oh my
you get
God.
to somebody that hates your
Hates
guts.
you. It's not funny,
It's
but
not, but
it's like that's insane. Like you push somebody to the
Yeah,
point where
I gave you what you want.
I gave you what you want, and then now I resent you.
because
the
I
same
gave you
thing
what you-
with the opposite case of like, okay, the guy now proposed. He gave you the ring. Or the masculine proposed, and they gave you the thing. Now they're miserable. Vice versa. You propose in front of this large group, and now I feel compelled to say yes.
Ooh.
So now we're in a marriage. Now we're going through it, and I hate you. I don't like you. I don't love you. I feel something there, but not enough.
And a lot of times with the force thing, it makes some of the feeling go away.
Because then it's like
I was
you're
building.
not respecting my boundaries. You're not respecting my mental state. Like how I allowed you to be ready. Allow me to be ready.
Exactly.
And that's a tough one. That's like a toughie because you're so cute. That's like a toughie because I'm like when you are ready, and especially when you want it to be with that person. Like if it was me, let's say I was ready right now, and every box was checked. In this instant, I was ready. You weren't. It's not easy to just get up and leave and be like, okay, yeah. So even at that 6-year mark, or maybe that 11-year mark, it's not easy to get up and leave. So it's like, I don't want to leave. So do something about it. And it's tough on the person saying it as well. So it's like a thing of like, well, I want to marry you. It's not like I just want to be married. I want to be married to you. So it's like, well, you can leave. And it's like, I don't want to leave.
A lot of times, I don't think the other person will say, well, you can leave.
Exactly. Because they don't want you to leave.
They'll try to push through because let's sit in the perfect world.
Yeah.
That everybody's good.
Yeah.
They're just not... They're not there yet, but they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the way. They're working towards it. You arrived at the location before them, and they're pushing as hard as they can, but there's traffic.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're trying to tell you, like it's analogy time. Okay, you go into the movies. You come from two separate places. They get to the movie first, right? And they're waiting on you. You tell them, okay, popcorn, and you're trying, but there's traffic, and you don't want to tell them, never mind, just go back home, forget the movie.
Yeah.
You're trying to get to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, I've been here for 3 hours.
But I've been exactly, and then the thing with that same analogy, it's like if you're already there, it's like a thing of, okay, well, I'd have to drive all the way back home. You know, I'd have to hit traffic. I'd have to, like, see this side and see this. I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to have to start over, because once I get home, I'm going to have to come back to the movie anyways. So it's like, you don't want, you don't want that.
And
you're
or you
tired.
Get the rom-com ending where I finally get to the movie after you've gone back home, and I'm asking
I know,
you to come
you're
back
like
to
coming
the
back.
movie. For me to come back to the movie.
Because I'm now ready to watch the movie. That's the thing, and that's the problem. And I don't want to say either side is necessarily bad. It depends how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say the feminine is the one that's getting proposed to, because there are feminine who propose. Love that for you. So let's say the feminine is the one that's wanting to be proposed to. If you're just saying, I'm ready, I hate to like force you to do anything that you don't want to do, but I am ready, and I don't know how much longer I can wait. That's not necessarily bad. You're setting up a boundary. You're putting a boundary. They may not like it because they'll be like, well, you're giving me an ultimatum. You're just setting a boundary. That's not bad. Now, if you're like, you got 2 days, or you got this long, or I'm leaving, that is kind of threatening, you know? Like, it is still a boundary, but it sounds very, like, what's threatening? And that's the thing with boundaries, is it's so hard to decide what's actually a threat and what's a boundary, right? And so with that, it's like, I still never want to say anyone's in the bad, because now if the masculine or the feminine who's being proposed to or proposing, is not ready, it's like, they have that right to leave. They have that right to leave. They have the right to say that they're not ready. Like, you can decide that you are not ready. Like, me personally, marriage, just breaking down what I believe marriage is, it's the paper. You have the paper. You're legally bonded together. Now I can make decisions for you medically, court-wide, like, things like that. We are one. We can create this. We put our finances together on the government. Like, things like that. All paperwork.
Taxes.
Logically and paper-wise, we're married, right? Because everything stays the same. In my head, everything else stays the same. My love for you stays the same. It continues to grow, but my love is there. My happiness is there. Everything is there. The only thing that changes is paper. For me. That's just me. However, there are people that view marriage as something like really strong, like a huge bond, the promise for God, the promise to God, the promise to your partner, and I see it like that as well. However, that's not the thing that is like mostly on my mind. So my thing is, if you view marriage like that, no, you don't have to force yourself into it at all. Because that is a huge promise. Like, promise to the point where people are like, well, there's no divorce because I've made this promise. So I'm like, if the masculine is not ready or the feminine is not ready to get married, don't force them, because they may view it like that. Now, if they view it like a paperwork, just a transaction between you two, then I'd be like, what's the problem? Now, what's the problem? Why are we waiting? But if it's like a really sentimental moment, it's important, it's significant, I can't say that either party is bad. You're not bad for being ready and not wanting to wait, and the other party is not bad for not being ready and not wanting to be pushed into something that is so life-changing and life-altering for them.
I was just talking about the perfect world, that everybody wants the best for each other. And not thinking about the people who are just wasting on purpose.
I know.
And we don't think about those people.
We don't. If you can tell your partner is just wasting your time, come on.
There's the door.
There's the door.
You know.
I thought you were gonna do it.
No. I gotta keep my mask.
I've gotta.
LOL.
I've got to break up with him now.
It's too late.
No more
she
podcast.
She can't go anywhere. Sorry. You'll see her next week. So having a time limit can create issues because everyone's different and everyone arrives ready at different points in time. But having milestones that you want to hit having boundaries on when you expect it, and all this is open communication. Like you've communicated, hey, I won't be ready to marry unless I hit a couple of these. Like, I don't think you should be rigid with I have to hit all of these. Like I have to get my master's, I have to have a career, I have to travel to all 7 continents, I have to hit all 50 states, I have to hit over 200 countries, blah, 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 blah. You know, I have to be to space if I can ever get married. Like, wow. If you communicate that with somebody and they stayed,
and wow, good on you for staying.
It's crazy. But it's okay to be like, I want to travel a bit. I want to live on my own. You know, before it's okay to have a few, and hit a couple before, you know, you get the engagement going and all that. Like that's okay with me. I will probably never marry you, but that's okay with me.
What you mean probably?
I will never. Well, you could be watching the video later.
Oh, okay.
We could be editing this together. Hey, editing us. Anyways, I think it's important and essential to have certain milestones and boundaries in place, and have a good idea of where where your readiness is and where your partner's readiness is, and keep that open communication open. And then know when enough is enough, when it's time to. Because leaving, it's easy to talk about and make the funny movies. Exactly. But yeah, I don't know what you're gonna go through.
I know.
If you do have to leave, so when that 6-year mark hit, if you're following my plan, Badger, you know, like really bring it back up. Make sure they know that you're ready and you're willing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Try to gauge whether they will ever get there.
Yeah.
Or if, like, really try to gauge it, because that 6 years is an extremely long time to give to a person. Because let's say you did after college, you have your bachelor's, you have probably a career going. Like, life is moving for you. Life is moving for you. So, like a long time, but it's a good time to really assess whether it's time to look for another mate. It's time to move on and move out. Never gonna be easy. Easier said than done. Words and actions and all this other stuff. But I think that it's important to have a time frame and a time limit. Have your boundaries to where that box is, and have the milestones to hit before you get married. Really, and you know your emotional level, so that you know when you're mentally ready, and it's not just some kind of pipe dream fantasy for you. Like, okay, I do want to get married. I do want to spend an exorbitant amount of time with this person, because COVID hit.
I know.
And a lot of married people were like, whoa,
watch this.
I don't like this person. Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking while you were talking, and it was like starting to like pain my chest, but I'm like, marriage is hard.
Yes.
Like, I was thinking about the idea of like all of this, and I'm just like, imagine like wanting to marry this person, loving this person, being so dedicated to this person, and you're like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, and they're not ready. And then you're like heartbroken, and you're like, what do I do? Do I push them? I don't want them to resent me. I don't want them to just play with me because at this point, or do something that I want them to do, and they don't even want to do it. And then on the other side, you're like, okay, well, now my person's ready, but I'm not ready. Now I have to force myself to be ready or leave. And like, I don't want to leave my partner. Like, either way it goes, it sounds like so sad.
Yeah.
But I think the most important part in it is taking care of you.
Yeah. And
I think it's like self-love and self-respect. And it's knowing what you deserve. Self-worth. You know? So it's a thing of like, yes, I love this person. I do. I love you so much.
Love you so much.
But at the same time, you're not ready. And I'm tired of waiting. Yeah. And it's like, you can give yourself that time frame. You can give yourself that time frame. You can do it. I'm not saying there's not going to be problems involved. You can do it. And then you're like, okay, I'm done waiting. I've got to go. For me, for my mental health, for my self-worth, for myself, I have to leave. And on the other side, it can be a thing of, okay, well, I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready. This is definite. I don't want to continue to hurt you. I don't want to continue to lead you on. I don't know when I'm going to be ready. Walk out. Not only for yourself,
Ooh.
but for the other person
Mm-hmm.
too. If it's a thing of like you genuinely, you're like, I don't know when I'm going to be ready. I don't know if I'm ever going to be ready. Don't do that to that person.
Oh, okay.
But now if it's a thing of like,
because if you're watching this podcast, we believe you're a good person.
absolutely.
And yeah,
And
I didn't even talk about the person not being ready to be one to leave.
Yeah.
God, speaking of hurt.
See, that's what I said. Like, it's hard. And so it's like a thing of like, you have to not only do it for yourself because you're like, okay, I don't want to be pushed. I don't want to be pressured into doing something that is so significant. And you have to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be pressured. You don't want to be pushed because then emotions fly and then it creates problems. And then you become the bad person, right? And so then you may have to either, one, decide like, okay, will I be ready soon? Because can I do this? Can I do this? And if you're like, I don't think I can, it may be time to do the thing that's
the
best
adult
for
thing
you and that person, because you don't want to leave them on.
Them,
you gotta let them free.
Yeah. Sad to think about.
It
ever
is.
Getting to that point.
It is. And that's why I say time frames are really, I think they're problematic. I think they can create problems, but I do think they're necessary sometimes because it's, again, self-worth, you know? How long are you willing to wait for this person? How long are you willing to put in effort and time and energy to this relationship that's not progressing when you want it to progress? And again, if you don't want marriage, this definitely isn't for you. But I honestly, if you don't want marriage, but you want your relationship to progress further than it is, I don't know what that is. But maybe you know, and it's still not happening, maybe this conversation is for you. Maybe it's still time to start considering, like, where do I want to go from here? How long am I willing to wait for this to progress? How long, how much energy and time am I willing to put into this? And then vice versa. Am I willing to kind of like push myself a little in order to satisfy my partner? And will I be okay if I push myself into this direction? And then if it's a no, then it may be time to do the adult thing. Think about your partner in the long run and leave. Like, again, my opinion, you don't have to take any of this. Like, maybe you're sitting in a situation and you're wondering what to do, and then you leave, and then it all crashes, and you're like, dang you, terrible podcast!
They really are terrible.
Right?
You know,
but, so
scandalous.
it's like, do what you feel, and that's why I say sit on it. Sit on it and think. Don't do it. Don't be like, okay,
I don't think
I'm gonna leave.
That's one of the snap decisions.
No, absolutely not. Sit on it. Talk to your talk to your partner.
Okay.
I
Communication.
I think that will always be the forefront in every episode that we do. Communication. Because even, let's say we were in this position, right? And it was me that wasn't ready to get married. Or vice versa, you weren't ready to get married. That would be a conversation that we have to have. And I'd be like, okay, I know you're ready, but I am not. And what do we do from here? Is it a thing of like, this is your time limit, you're ready to go, you don't want to wait anymore? What can I do to help you feel as though we're progressing, but not rush into that?
Exactly.
And I think it's a huge thing of communication. You don't have to leave, but communicate with your partner so they're still satisfied, they're still feeling fulfilled, and they're still feeling the love. So it's a thing of like, okay, yeah, I won't be rushing, but and back to episode 1. Compromising, you know? And the thing with marriage is it's hard to compromise. It's hard to compromise on if you're getting married or not. Yeah. But if you both understand you want to get married.
Okay, because I was like,
no, it's a thing of like, I want to get married, you don't. That's hard to compromise.
Well, what's the compromise?
But if it's a thing we both want to get married eventually and it's just time limit, find a way to compromise. So what ways can I still fulfill your needs without me being pressured into it? Because if I'm being pressured into getting married, that's not a compromise. That's just you winning. Mm-hmm. So talk to your partner. I don't know how to compromise between. I don't know either. But again, talk to your partner. Like,
you get married, I don't.
This is one thing that we haven't had to go through, so we can't say what we did and how we fixed it. Yeah. But I know that no matter how hard it gets in our relationship and whatever arguments we go through, the biggest thing we do is sit down. Even in our angry state, we literally will call each other and be like, can we talk? And lay everything out.
Yeah.
Like the biggest thing that gets us through everything is honesty, openness, and willing to understand and listen. So I feel like even in that case, again, if you're both wanted to get married eventually, I feel like there's a compromise that can come from it. So maybe it's a thing of, okay, let me get you a promise ring so you know that I'm going to do this. Or let's get an engagement ring and let's wait for the engagement. Let's do a year engagement. Let's set a time frame on the engagement. And we'll start moving in ways. Like, whatever it is for you, I don't know.
What is a long engagement to you? Oh, my bad. Continue talking.
That was, no, that's just a hard question. Yeah. For me, okay.
Go ahead.
Hands out, I am financially ready, right? We have to think about it logically. Because we've crossed emotionally and mentally because we're in engagement. We're financially ready, 1 year.
1 year?
I think the entire year is
planning.
It's like planning, everything should be set, we should be getting married the next year.
Okay.
So, if I'm not financially ready, 2 years. Because what are we doing to financially get ready? Okay. Because you proposed, so that means you had something in plan.
Right.
So I'm like, what are we doing? You know?
For me, I think 2 years is a good, like, that's enough of an engagement. Mm-hmm. Because I personally wouldn't get engaged without the financial part.
Exactly.
Because I'm not a person to engage somebody without the plan of very soon being married. I view engagement as a planning period. Mm-hmm. Like, we are figuring out how big we want the wedding, mm-hmm. who's invited, the venue, the theme, mm-hmm. etc. They say a lot of that falls on the feminine, the woman. But guys, we can put the input in. We can like, it may get shut down, but we can put the input in. You know, I think it's also important to be a partner during that time.
Absolutely.
Because it's not easy. I assume, because it's detail. It can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it would feel like to be proposed to, mm-hmm. and then the person that proposed, just leaves you to make every single decision solo dolo, mm-hmm. like finding a planner. I don't know what goes into wedding. I watched TLC in a long time. Okay, but just dumping that all on a person mm-hmm. after proposing to them, I think it's important for your partner. Your two partners. Your partner? I said your two partners.
Whatever. If you're in polygamy, I'm into it. Hey. So.
So it's like.
Did my ear just ring? My ear rung. I'm sorry. I look like a dog. You're like, what? No, my ear rung. Sorry. Like, you know when they're doing ear things at the doctor, and they're like, raise your right. No, come on. No. They're like, raise your right hand if you hear it in this hand. That's my brain.
I grew up normal. Okay, so. I never went.
You're not about to blame me.
Okay, I never went to the ear, throat, and nose doctor. I was okay.
Well, maybe you should.
I didn't get allergies, so this is not important. The important thing is that, in my opinion, when you propose, it is with the intent to take it to the next step. I think absolutely. Engagement is like a limbo. Like, my fiance, it's cool. But my fiance after 4 years is like,
yeah,
buddy, that's like, the friend at that point.
Exactly. No, you're just in another relationship with a ring on your finger. Exactly. Like, so it's like.
So that's why I'm like, proposing should just be, think of it as a ferry from one location to the next. It's just a quick ferry over.
Yeah.
From one island to the next.
Yeah.
If those islands are connected, that'd be great. Mm-hmm. The shorter the ferry, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if you proposed, I assume you have the intent to marry, and that you're excited, that like I can't wait to marry you. Oh my God, like you have something pushing you forward. It's not, because you're like getting financially ready. I believe that should happen before the ring.
I do. Yeah, no, me too.
So I think a year, like 2 months is wild. Like,
yeah,
could you imagine getting something in the mail?
That's true.
Hey, I'm
though.
getting married in 2 months.
I know.
I'm not coming.
Like 6 months to a year, because then you give people time to start getting ready too.
Like, let me get my PTO up, etc., etc. 6 months to a year, in my opinion, is a good number. 2 years, that's as long as it should be.
Yeah.
If you hit a year and a half, and there's no planning.
Yeah.
Like there's no preparedness. That there's. Like, it's just a relationship 2.0.
Because I'm going off the basis that you plan throughout the year and you have a set date in the second year.
Exactly.
So if you don't have a set date, you haven't planned anything, then for me, I'm like, you're not actually ready. You just propose to get that out of the way.
Yeah, to get that out.
Because you're right. That's how I view engagement too, is proposing to say, I'm ready. So then it's like, okay, now all we have to do is plan it. So like, and I think a great positive is even now, we're not engaged, but we still talk about our wedding, like what colors we're gonna have, what types of flowers we're gonna have, what my dress is gonna look like, what our
ketchup and mustard.
Yes. What my bridesmaid is gonna look like, what your groomsmen is gonna look like. We've talked about it. We've searched some. So I'm like, even before we're preparing. So when we're in that engagement, it's gonna be quick. Yeah. It should be quick because we should be financially ready.
But not 2 months.
Yeah.
Not 2 months.
No,
okay.
I'm not. No.
Oh, okay, cool.
People, I got nieces. You have a niece and nephews. You like. We gotta find babysitter.
No kids allowed.
No kids. I'm just kidding.
At the door, like, go back home.
But no, people work. Like, being honest,
exactly.
Like, people work.
Everybody's busy.
And the only reason we wouldn't do two is because people work. So it's like, you have to understand that people.
Like, I get it's your day.
Off.
Like, it's
it's
you and your partner's day. But other people want to be there.
Yeah, no, time off. That's the only reason I wouldn't do like 2 months. You can get time off in 2 months. Like, if you're being honest.
I mean,
you can do it.
If you don't have PTO and it's secured.
But no, I say if you're planning before you get into engagement,
6 months.
6 months.
Good.
And if you weren't planning before, you're planning in the engagement. 6 to a year and a half. That's up to you. I mean, honestly, that's up to you how big the wedding's going to be, how much planning you need to put into it. If it goes into 2 years just because you're planning so much, that's great. I love that. But if it's a thing of you're not even planning and you're into 2 years, then it may be a conversation. Again, another conversation you need to have with your partner. Hey, why aren't we planning? What are we waiting for?
What was the proposal?
What was it, right? Like, so it's like, yeah. So I that part, yeah.
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 Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you
I agree. I'm glad you agree. I agree. Okay. Is that all you have to say, baby?
That's all I have to say, guys. 11 years. 6 to 11 years.
For somebody else. For somebody else. For somebody else. But that was a great topic. I hope you guys got something from it. Maybe this helped you. Maybe you're in this situation and you're like, what do I do? Am I in the wrong for wanting to be married and like pushing this person or like talk? So hopefully you got something from this. I love this topic and I'm so happy that I got to speak to my man. I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for always co-hosting with me.
Always. And
I love you so much. And I can't wait to wait 11 years to get proposed to.
6.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope the new people, you come back and you love us and join this family. And we will see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Bye guys.